Hey everyone, what's up? You know, later today or tonight, the 15th annual Slammiversary by Impact Wrestling, aka TNA, will occur. And to say that this is something that TNA on a, well, we mostly know them as TNA, but to know that this is something that we didn't think TNA Impact Wrestling was going to get to as of late last year, well, you got to give them a hand for at least, getting to where they are, for at least making it, or to this point, at least surviving, as some people put it. But when one really looks at this, and if you've been paying attention, there's something very significant about this Impact Wrestling edition of Slammiversary. There's something significant about it. What's significant about it is it's the last time there's going to be any indication of TNA whatsoever. Because according to the link in the description box by Tennessee.com, Anthem Sports, who also owns the Fight Network and owns Impact Wrestling, purchased the rights or acquired the rights to Global Force Wrestling. And basically, by acquiring the rights to Global Force Wrestling, which they pretty much probably did around the same time or a little after they acquired Impact Wrestling, we have started to notice something that over the past several months has made us question, is this actually going to happen? Is this actually going to occur? Over the past several months, we have seen men and women from GFW come in with championships. And sometimes they come in to drop the championships because they're either not officially signed to the company or they pretty much are looking at other interests elsewhere. Well, as you have noticed, a lot of GFW championships have been won over the past several months by Impact, aka TNA stars. The reason for that is the fact that Anthem Sports has decided that Slammiversary is going to be the relaunch point for the company. It's not going to be called Impact Wrestling anymore. It's still going to maintain the Impact Wrestling name for the Thursday show. In other words, Impact Wrestling is going to be its Raw, Monday Night Raw on Thursdays. It's going to be its flagship show. But what they're going to do is rebrand Impact Wrestling into Global Force Wrestling. That's right, Global Force Wrestling is going to be the new name of the promotion. And like I said, they are maintaining the Impact Wrestling name for the Thursday night show. But instead, it'll be GFW Impact instead of just TNA Impact or just Impact. It'll be GFW. Now, for those of you that don't know what GFW was, you can see more information in the link below. But essentially, Jeff Jarrett, who co-founded TNA with his dad, had a falling out with Dixie Carter. And by having this falling out, he had left TNA and decided to launch his own company called Global Force Wrestling. Very similar in style, in a sense, with TNA. The ring was six-sided. Um, you had similar stars from TNA Impact Wrestling, that were formerly part of TNA Impact Wrestling showing up. You had all sorts of things going on. The only thing that was different was they had a television show called Amp. That's right. It was the flagship show was going to be called Amped, and they didn't film it in Florida. No, they ended up filming it at the Orleans Arena, at the New Orleans Arena in Las Vegas. We're not talking New Orleans, Louisiana. We're talking the New Orleans Arena, whatever it's called, in Las Vegas. Las Vegas was going to be basically the Orlando, Florida for Global Force Wrestling. And they had it all worked out. They had announcers, they had the stars that they needed, they crowned champions. Unfortunately, the one thing that they couldn't do, and Jeff was trying his darndest to do, was get television distribution. He was trying to get some kind of cable or television network to broadcast GFW. And it wasn't just nationally, it was internationally. The closest he came was working out a deal with New Japan. And by working out this deal with New Japan, he was able to help co-promote Wrestle Kingdom 10, I believe. I think it was Wrestle King. No, it wasn't Wrestle Kingdom 10. No, it was Wrestle Kingdom 9. I should know, I recorded it. It was Wrestle Kingdom 9. And they had co-promoted Wrestle Kingdom 9 as a way to expand their company, their business, and thus put emphasis on the fact that Global Force Wrestling was indeed a global venture of a wrestling promotion. And even though they did a good job at promoting and getting people interested in Wrestle Kingdom, which I'm sure a lot of people were already interested in Wrestle Kingdom, the one successful thing that I guess Jeff was able to do, not only getting someone like Jim Ross and Matt Stryker to do the commentary or the play-by-play, but Jeff was able to work out a deal to where you were able to see Wrestle Kingdom 9 on pay-per-view here in the US for the very first time. The only difference was if you wanted to see it live, you had to watch it really late at night. I mean, essentially, you had to wait till maybe about 11, 12 o'clock at night to watch the live broadcast of Wrestle Kingdom. I didn't do that. I ended up watching the encore, and that was suitable enough for me. So anyway, after that, Jeff had this idea, I guess, and you could see this on the YouTube page for Global Force Wrestling. You could see it in news sites if you research it. Jeff was trying a little bit of an idea that Ring of Honor had done, and I think even TNA attempted to do it a few times. He was going to bring GFW to minor league baseball stadiums. And we're not talking AAA or anything, we're like single A baseball stadiums. And the events would always either take place after the baseball was over or on a day when no games were scheduled. And to say it didn't do so well would be an understatement, because unfortunately, booking, I would say, a 10,000, 9,000 seat minor league stadium was not a good idea because they did not draw very well. They didn't. I mean, give Jeff Jarrett, whether you like the guy or not, credit, he at least tried, but it didn't work. They even tried incorporating the Bullet Club into the GFW roster. It didn't work. And unfortunately, some of the stars they wanted to focus GFW on were either now more focused with the work in Japan or was being signed by the WWE or Ring of Honor. Guys like Gallows and Anderson and Styles, they were on GFW's radar, not anymore. They're in WWE. Um, Bobby Roode, same thing. He was on GFW's radar. As a matter of fact, he was at one of the tapings for GFW where he took part in the tournament to crown the inaugural GFW Global Champion. And now he, Bobby Roode, is the NXT champion. So yeah, not many people, not so yeah, basically GFW didn't have much to work with. And then in a last ditch attempt a few years ago, they had worked something out with TNA, and what they had worked out was sort of a on-screen business relationship that was basically a way to write off Jeff Jarrett's last minority ownership of TNA to Dixie, from what I understand. And what this led to was an on-screen invasion by GFW. In other words, GFW, from a storyline perspective, had betrayed the partnership with TNA. Jeff Jarrett, through the convincing of his wife, Karen Jarrett, had betrayed the partnership, had stabbed Dixie in the back. And this led to an invasion angle that I think originally was supposed to conclude at Bound for Glory that year. But because of some behind the scenes differences between Jeff Jarrett and I don't know who else, John Goborek or somebody, they decided to quicken the conclusion by having a lethal lockdown finale, Team GFW against Team TNA, with the stipulation that if GFW won, they would get control and TNA would be gone. They even went as far as to taking someone like Eric Young, who now is in WWE, who's the leader of a very over group Insanity, Insanity, I should say. They even tried to use him as a turncoat to help elevate the storyline, and it didn't work. It just did not work. So, unfortunately, GFW went under the radar for a while, and the only acknowledgement they ever had is when they would have their champions appear on and off at independent wrestling shows. As a matter of fact, before the whole acquirement by Anthem Sports of Impact Wrestling, and then shortly after Global Force, the last major time you heard about GFW was at one of the I think it was at the WrestleCade event last year, where Cody Rhodes, or Cody, had become the GFW Next Gen champion. So yeah, that's basically what happened with GFW originally. It got regulated to the point that its champions would defend their titles on various independent promotions just to stay relevant. It wasn't until, like I said, Anthem Sports had acquired ownership after all that legal mumbo jumbo that Impact that TNA had gotten itself into with Billy Corgan, Dixie, and all that. It wasn't until after this occurred that the guy right now that's kind of in a legal battle, or basically is in a legal battle with the Hardys over the broken gimmick. Um, he decided that basically, because I guess apparently he's a fan of wrestling, and apparently by doing research or getting some people to do research for him, he found out that the company was doing a lot better when it had an actual wrestling personality behind the scenes running the show. So he decided, apparently, after acquiring ownership, after Anthem Sports had acquired ownership of Impact Wrestling, and then, like I said, probably shortly after GFW, he decided that the best way for Impact Wrestling to survive and uh, be taken seriously again as an alternative was to bring back the person that had founded the company or co-founded the company in the first place, and Jeff Jarrett, and put him and people with wrestling knowledge at the forefront of creative and control. So that was great and everything. I mean, they even acknowledged it on TV. They showed behind the scenes of how things were changing. They were bringing in stars that they feel will help brand Impact Wrestling, or GFW, if you will, as a true alternative. But then, like I said earlier, what really I think got people's attention that this was a possibility is when you started seeing the GFW championships showing up on Impact, and you're thinking, well, what's this about? And apparently, you're thinking, well, they're trying to take that initial uh, what was it that they're trying to take that global initiative that Jeff had with Global Force Wrestling, and maybe they're trying to apply with Impact. Maybe bringing in the GFW champions and other independent other champions from other indie promotions, let them bring the belts on the show and all that. Maybe that's one way of expanding the global initiative that Jeff wanted to do with originally wanted to do with GFW. So that's what I thought originally they were doing. They were at least giving all these champions from independent promotions, including GFW, a chance to be showcased on their program, maybe even defend their championships on the programs and maybe the special events. But as time went on, another thing that was going through my mind, and I'm sure went through a lot of people's minds, was, are we just looking at a possible merger here? Because they even acknowledged the merger on television and in news articles. But the thought was, are we going to actually, is GFW taking over? Is TNA, or what remains of TNA, going to be replaced by GFW? I think that was a question a lot of people had, and apparently that's what's going to happen as as far as Slammiversary is concerned. Basically, like I said earlier, Slammiversary is being a relaunching starting point for the company, because according to the reports in the Tennessee.com, the reason for this rebranding, the reason for this change, is they want to distance themselves from all that BS that they went through legally and all that. They want to leave that behind them and focus on the future. Another thing that another reason as well, apparently, is because the TNA initials don't seem too pleasing or too appealing or pleasing uh, to potential investors and marketers, and they might be right. I mean, honestly, if you think of TNA, if you hear the words TNA, what's the first thing that really goes through your mind besides a wrestling promotion? You know what I'm saying? So apparently, Apparently, they feel that TNA, the reason the company never really got the promotion that it needed, the investment that it needed by people to help, get it out there among the masses was because of its initials. So that's another reason. The fact that the TNA name, I guess, was too risque and maybe too unappealing, if not inappropriate, to market a wrestling company, for, to use, I should say, to market a wrestling company. So that's where GFW comes in. Now, what does this say for the matches on Sunday? Well, it could say a lot of things. It could say that the people that have the GFW championships are going to be the ones that go over. Maybe, maybe not. We don't know. But to, to me, for Anthem Sports to use essentially I guess you could say the Royal Rumble or the SummerSlam of uh, of uh, of Impact Wrestling as a relaunch point for the company, as a rebranding point for the company to go from being TNA to GFW. Uh, it's a risk. It's a risky move, and I guess it's a risk they're going to take because when you think about it, this is the only other. Whether you like Anthem Sports, whether you like Ed Norham, or whether you like Jeff Jarrett or whoever, you have to admit that this is probably the best solution for them. I'm surprised they didn't do this the moment Anthem Sports acquired Impact Wrestling. I'm surprised they didn't do it then. Because if they would have done it then, I guarantee you without a shadow of a doubt, that this company probably would maybe be in more better shape than they're trying to get it back into now. There is no doubt that the tour of India was a success. That's obvious there. But financially was a success. But right now, what other choice does Anthem Sports have? You know, they say they want to distance themselves from the past, from what TNA was, and all the legal BS that it went through, and they want to focus on the future. Okay, that's great. That's terrific to hear. The only thing is, the only question people are going to have is, will it work in the end? Well, Anthem Sports is a bigger conglomerate and has more money than Dixie Carter, or even Panda Energy can afford or even have. So I would say, yeah, it's probably going to be a good move, but will this rebranding help it? Will it bring it back to? Will it bring the company back to the prestige it once had, to being that alternative that people say, you know what, forget WWE, let's watch this wrestling promotion because it's better. Is it going to go back to being that? Because I can tell you this, I used to watch, when I would watch TNA, the fact that, I would when I would watch TNA every week, I would get excited because I never knew what we were going to get, when it was good. Heck, I even went out and bought some of the TNA DVDs. Why? Because I liked what they were giving us. I liked the matches, the storylines they were giving us, the intrigue. So, will this rebranding at Slammiversary, help the company get back to that? I don't know. They're supposed to go on tour around the nation, and maybe that's going to help them. It sounds like they're getting off to the off. Bleh. They're getting off on the right foot because they're getting better promotion already, whether you want to admit it or not. They're getting better promotion ocean being done for the company and for this pay-per-view than they did in the past. So that's a good sign, but still. still, they got a lot of work to do. I know Jeff Jarrett knows that Jeff Jarrett, the people at Anthem and all of them, they know they got a long road ahead to get this company back to what it was in the past. But as far as the rebranding goes, it's a risk. Right now, Anthem, I can tell you this. I can tell you this. The positive is Anthem has the money to take this risk. They do. Because if they didn't have the money and they took this risk, it would probably blow up in the face. But they got the money to take this risk. Let's hope it pays off for them. Let's hope it pays off for the men and women that are competing for this company. Let's hope let's just hope and pray it works out for them in the end. Because right now, as far as the wrestling business goes, wrestling fans need something to #make wrestling fun again. They need that promotion that's going to make them love wrestling again. That's going to make wrestling fun again for them. And hopefully Impact Wrestling or Global Force Wrestling, Anthem Sports can do that with this rebranding. But we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But that's really all. But really, I just wish them the best of luck, because if they can do something here with this rebranding to where it makes wrestling fun again for us as fans, to where we may not like what WWE is doing, but we're okay with what NXT is doing, and we also consider GFW as that other alternative as well, then hopefully this works out for them. Hopefully it works out, but we'll have to wait and see. Again, it's a huge risk, but right now Anthem has the money to do it. I know one person that's going to be interested in this when he does a video on it, the Schleg Daddy at OTR Central. I'm sure he's going to be very interested in what happens here, because let's just say if a certain Memphis mid-carder doesn't show up or doesn't show his face on the screen and sticks to being behind the scenes as he says he's going to be, then maybe Jeff will have a better appreciation and give this company another chance, especially if it's going to be rebranded and going off in a better direction than it was. Hopefully in a better direction than it was in the past. But we'll just have to wait and see what the Schleg Daddy, Jeff Sheikle at OTR Central, has to say. Because he's the one that's saying, hey, #make wrestling fun again. Hopefully Global Force Wrestling, once the rebrand happens at Slammiversary tonight, hopefully Anthem Sports with Global Force Wrestling can do that. Because if not, this is going to be a major blow up in Anthem's face. Because this is, like I said, this is a risk they're taking, and I pray it pays off for them. I really do. And hopefully they can do #make wrestling fun again for all of us. So I wish Anthem Sports, whether you like them or you don't, all the best of luck in the world. I wish GFW luck with its relaunch and rebranding as the new version of TNA, but now just Global Force Wrestling. I wish you guys the best of luck. Let's hope this pays off, because if not, I don't know what else you guys are going to do. So let me know what you guys think down below. Comment if you like. I'm out. Thank you for watching live.